Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing careers, hiring, and we always begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. And as always, every Wednesday evening, we're going to welcome Rich Levinsky, who's going to be speaking to us about a great topic on consulting. So you want to stay tuned to that. And by the way, we record those, not only record them, but we run those as podcasts. You can look those up on TonyBashara.com. I also want to remind everybody that you can email me any questions you might have about hiring or looking for a job or changing careers. We go over those emails at least once every 2 weeks. Tony@Babich.com, Tony@BABICH.com. I want to begin the program by talking about a very great story about one of our hiring authorities that frankly did it right. I don't know that that happens more than 10% of the time, but Russ was a great employer, really good guy, had a real good opportunity, and I'll explain the way he did it, which helped him to get the best candidate he could find on the market. He needed to hire a salesperson. He called us. We had worked with the company before, never him, but with the company. He interviewed 5 candidates, started out with 5 candidates. He devoted an hour video conference with each candidate. With 2 of them, the video on the initial interview only lasted about 45 minutes because he came to the conclusion that he wasn't going to hire them. They weren't going to fit what he needed. But 3 of them, he went through a full hour with, did a real extensive interview, and he asked everybody exactly the same questions, same group of questions. Decided that he wanted to pursue 3 of them to narrow it down. And within 4 or 5 days, he called all 3 of them and narrowed it down to 2 candidates. He decided that, part of the company's process was that whoever he was going to be interested in hiring had to do a panel interview, only 2 other people. But he took those 2 candidates that he had narrowed it down to, did a write-up for the people, which is pretty extensive. I saw the write-ups and they were good. And he sent those write-ups to the 2 people that were going to do the other interviewing. Within a week, he had 2 people interviewing 2 of his people in a panel interview type of thing, video again, and it took about an hour to an hour and a half for each one of them. He narrowed it down to 1 candidate that he really liked, but the 1 candidate he really liked let him know very clearly that he had 3 other opportunities that he was looking at. The candidate was pretty coy about it. He didn't want to explain who the other 2 were. He just said there are other 2 formidable organizations. One was a competitor of the company, of Russ's company. The other one was not. Russ bluntly just asked the guy, look, what are you looking for that we can provide that maybe the others can't provide or that you don't have where you're at? Well, his job was going away at the company that he was working for, so it was not much of an option to stay with the company. And the candidate was real candid about what he really liked about the company and what he didn't like. What he really liked about the company was the relationship that he would have with Russ. Russ sold the idea that the difference between these other firms and us is that you're going to be working with me. And I make a difference because here's what I do for the people that work for me. And he went through all of the things he does for the organizations, for the people that work in his organization. And he gave a litany of why you should come to work here and what I can do for you. And what it really boiled down to, although he didn't say it, was you get Russ in the deal. He had two or three other conversations with the candidate, and he simply asked the candidate what concerns he had. The candidate communicated the idea that he really liked Russ, but the two guys that he talked to after Russ were a little stoic and a little removed and weren't anywhere near selling the job the way Russ was. And he was going to have to interface with these people and was a little concerned about it. Now, admittedly, this was a relatively picky thing, but he didn't get the same warm fuzzies from those guys that he got from Russ. So what does Russ do? Russ gets a hold of these two people that had interviewed the candidate and has them call the candidate and sell the job. Here's why you should come to work here. No matter, just you get Russ in the deal, but boy, you also get, and then they explained why they were there, why they had stayed there, what they liked about the company. They were no longer removed from the interviewing process or cold or whatever. They made the candidate feel like he was going to be at home, and he went by going to work there. Sure enough, candidate accepted the job. He had two other offers, by the way, all because of the personal relationship that Russ built with the candidate and the fact that he encouraged his compatriots to give the guy a call and sell the company. You want good talent these days? It sure doesn't hurt to operate that way. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashara with the Job Search Solution.